Hello everybody, welcome back to Farming Simulator 15. We're on Gelvin Valley. It's a beautiful day, though we do have some rain on the way. I made a number of fixes to the header here that got rid of the errors in our log, and I think it's working okay. It might still be hanging on there a little crooked, I don't know, but it appears to be behaving at the moment. Let's crank this bad boy up. I still don't like down in the corner kind of how it appears, where it's the schematic or whatever that is a little bit off. But we'll get this going here. Get back to our harvest. Get ourselves oriented out the window. Turn around the right way on our dirty little harvester here. Oh, our little sheep is trying to find us. One of the things I fixed, which will help hopefully a little visually, is, yeah, see the header's now taking not quite a wider cut like it had before. Let me get it hired. Yeah, this is looking a whole lot better. It isn't harvesting beyond the edge of the header over there like it had previously. I think I like what it's doing. Yeah, I'm pleased. It's just one of those things, you know, setting that up involves what's called the working area. Maybe I should go get the tractor going here while I got a little bit of time. Get the course going. Oops. No, 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 no. Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's trying to find the old end point. Becomes easier once we get the outer round done. That is for sure. Maybe this is close enough. Let's see if that'll work. Auto search, choose combine. Yeah, the New Holland. Let me switch back to it. So for a proper working area, to make it look right, a working area has a start, a width, and a height. And those 3 points define a parallelogram. So when it's a header like this, you want the starting point to be up around here. You want the width to be the width of the machine. And then you want the height to be directly behind the starting point just a little bit. Just enough so there is kind of a rectangle in here that will cut all the wheat off. That's kind of the cutting area, if you will. Well, what had happened on this from the previous one is it was cutting clear over into here. And it's because the parallelogram wasn't defined properly. The starting point and... Oh, what are you doing here? Taking a breather? I wonder if he's waiting for this. I bet if I stop him, he'll try to keep going, maybe? Yeah. It's just hard, the first round. Anyway, that's kind of the long story short. The parallelogram was just defined improperly, and instead of being a rectangle, it produced kind of a skewed rectangle that reached clear out and onto the other side of the header or whatever. It's really easy to fix. Just had to tweak it a little bit. Oh, I must think I'm in the way. Come on, you can do it. At the same, yeah, there was numerous other tweaks that I made to it that hopefully helps it perform a little better. Well, this is kind of bizarre. I wonder what's causing it to... Oh, you know what? I know what it's doing. It's getting confuzzled with what it didn't cut the last go around. For some reason it left some of this here. So it was looking over to the ad instead of continuing on around. Alright, let's give this another go. There we go. Gotta see if can you find the combine and come at it the right. It's kind of a steep hill. Yeah, don't look at it too closely. There we go. Unload. Good job. So now it's going to get confused. Actually, it's full. Can it climb the hill? Oh, come on. Oh, dear. Dear, dear, dear. Maybe it's a turning radius, you know? Yeah, don't go to the combine. It's time to take it to storage. Maybe it's the turning radius in here that its turn speed. There's got to be a radius in here somewhere, right? Yes. Maybe it's this one here. Turning circle is 8 meters. It's auto, so I don't know what normal is, but it's going to go out before it turns. I just don't know. I suppose I could kind of try to tighten it, but I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not. So, oh, there goes a trusty sheep. Maybe we'll just leave it be. I'll make sure he can get it over to storage. Okay, should be able to. At least get our... Do I keep saying wheat? I must be stuck on last harvest. This, folks, is barley. Speaking of that, I want to see what are the prices doing right now. We're going to be taking it to pheasant pluckers. All right, wheat is up, barley is still. I don't want to get that above 200. Main disappointed I couldn't sell previously for a better price. But such is life. Just make sure he gets in the gate. Yeah, looks like he's staying at 100. I think I'm throttling at speed so he doesn't flop all over the road like a drunken sailor. Seems like if you go too quickly with course play, it just invites instability in the steering. Alright, well, I'm going to switch back to the combine. You know what? I think I like my little header. Although right there it's taking no more width than it did on the previous one. There we go. I bet it's taking some. It's going to get through this field a little quicker. And you know what? This is not exactly realistic. Well, I think we've talked about combine speeds before. If this thing goes 6 miles an hour, that's kind of how the Giants set it up. I think that's faster than what it would really be in real life. But all of it's going to depend on how wide of a header you have. You know, if 6 miles an hour was tops with a 4.2 meter header, then you would have to slow down if you're going to take in 5.5 meters. That's adding quite a bit, and the combine only has just so much capacity. So what this is going to end up doing is the combine is going to get full quicker, and now the combine is going to end up having to wait a little bit more because it'll be full and the courseplay driver with the trailer won't be back yet. Maybe what that means I should do is get a new trailer or something that has a little bit more capacity. Probably would still have the same trouble. That just is the way it is. See if he can figure out how to creep alongside and offload. Yeah, he's doing it. Another thing I did with this header is you'll see right on the edge of the combine, see where the PTO shaft comes out. I made sure it was hooked up, but that is such a terrible angle. I'm wondering if I should redo it, but you might have to bust the model to take one of those shafts out so that the shaft could go directly from here to, say, up here. You know, it's kind of ridiculous putting it in here, but that's really the only choice I had based on kind of how it's set up. So I got that there. I set up an input attacher to come in here properly. It's still attached, but it wasn't using the right format. Remember, it had that bad index. It was looking for something to rotate that I don't think it even existed, that particular index, so I just commented it out. So I fixed that. I think it was also looking for a particle system. I'm not sure which particle system. All I will say is that looks pretty good. Probably could have a little bit more foliage behind the auger. But you know what? I'm happy with that. You see it, it gets cut off. It doesn't look too bad. So, yeah, I'm pleased with it. The only thing it could be better is if it was yellow in color, but we won't worry about that. Okay, silly. Did you just reach through the fence? You did not. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, maybe in another bout I can fix the schematic down there. Otherwise, I like this. It's just a little wider so the wheels aren't running over the crop anymore. You don't have to suspend reality for that. Yeah, that doesn't look half bad. Already on the third round. Oops. Coming in to... What is that? That's kind of a funky way that it filled it up, leaving kind of an open spot. I'm not sure what that is all about, but oh well. Yeah, that's right. Stay in the field, pal. You know, I didn't comment on this on the other episode, which would have probably may have been more appropriate there than here. There is something about the first cut. I don't know what it is. Maybe some others here that have had some experience farming will know kind of what that is. You know, the farmer works so hard to get the crop put in the ground. You nurture it along through pest and weather all year long. You know, it seems easy straight here in Farming Simulator to do it because, you know, kind of like we saw just with between one night and the next, we were already I mean, you planted it and the following day you harvest. It just happens so quickly that we don't even think about it. But a real farmer is nurturing this all year long, sometimes sweating bullets, encountering stress, waiting on things, you know, over which he has no control, whether it's weather, prices of inputs, and prices for which he hopes to sell at market, and all these various factors. And then you carefully wait until the crop is just right, so it's optimum for efficiency, for moisture, for all these other things to look at for a good harvest to get the most possible or the best possible result for harvest. And you've worked on your combine, maybe even in the winter you've overhauled it, you've replaced bearings, you've worked on the engine, you've done all these things to improve it, fix it, repair it from the previous year, and so you have it out there in the field ready to go. And just the excitement, and I don't know if that paints a good enough picture, the excitement of the first cut when you know it's harvest season again. And I think even for a moment the farmer forgets that there are many, many long, hard hours ahead to get the harvest in. There's all sorts of things that potentially can go wrong, you know, in the harvest field. But the excitement of the opening cut, you know, where you take that first cut of grain and bring it into the machine, it's very exciting. And my farming experience wasn't so much on a grain farm. It was with Lone Oak, and it was a grass seed farm. But I think it was something similar in terms of emotions. I mean, that you would feel inside. And shoot, I wasn't even the owner. I was just a hired hand. But I felt it too, going out, and this was family too. Maybe it hits families more, I don't know. Where when it affects the whole family, and this is dad's field, mom and dad's farm, or whatever this is, and you look at this is my farm, my field, and you feel a part of it when it's small and it's just part of a family unit. And you go out there, and even if you haven't had much to do the rest of the year with bringing the crop to the state it's in, it just feels very personal. And so I remember that too, taking rides in the pickup with grandpa and my uncles as we would go out to a field and just look it over. And this was grass seed, to look at the color of it, thresh a few seeds by hand to see how easily they would come out, to determine if it was ready. And I think nowadays they have even more tools, and they even use an agronomist to help them determine, when the field is ripe and ready. But in those days, it was a little more by, I guess you would say, farmers' intuition. And oh, nope, you don't need to go there, bud. Um, and it was just exciting. Sometimes it would take more than a single trip down there. It's like, no, it's not quite ready. It's like, oh, darn it, we gotta wait. Hey, the combine's dead ahead, bud. You're interrupting my story. Can't you find the machine? There you go. Maybe you can find it now. But then eventually the night would come, and I guess in our case, it would definitely be a night, where the grass would be ready to cut. And I think, like I've described before, we cut it all into windrows, and then it would be left there to dry in the field for a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks. And then the combines would come in. So I suppose technically the harvest bit waited a little while, but the first cut always seemed to be like the time when we would head into the field with the windrowers. So, and like I say, any others listening to this that have farmed, I suppose I would resonate. Maybe to them it's no big deal. Maybe I'm just a sentimental fool, but there is something to me, like I say, about first stepping into the field when you're ready to harvest and reaping what you've sown and what you've taken care of, or not reaping, as a case may be. It's probably this way in every nation. You look at one farmer's field and you look at another farmer's field, and they've got the same crop, and you wonder, why do they look so different? And just the care. And oops, that combine gonna make the corner? My goodness, I think he will. There can just be a vast difference in abilities even between the farmer, and it only starts in the field. Some have a better green thumb, and some are better with their finances, their intuition, they're just raw business acumen versus others. And I know years ago, I don't see it so much anymore, kind of in the area where we live, there was a farmer, and I think he married into wealth. And so his wife came with a bunch of property that she inherited. He never had to work to buy it. And this guy had the cruddiest looking farm you can imagine. I mean, you look at his fields full of weeds. It's like he never put any chemical treatment on them. I think even one year, if I'm understanding correctly, this guy claimed he was trying to do something organic. It's like baloney. You're just lazy. We've seen this for years. Only now that you call it organic, I mean, that's just rubbish. But he was always perpetually late getting out into the field, and he did do a lot of wheat. Maybe that was easier and cheaper to plant. So he would plant a lot of spring wheat, and he would plant it horrendously late. And I kid you not, I almost think it was nearly June one year when he put it in the ground. And then so he was harvesting late in the fall, um, and just he had crummy looking equipment. And he had a number of fields, like I say, in the area that were kind of just an embarrassment. Um, I remember hearing a story that there was a farmer, another local farmer that neighbored his property, that literally got in a fist fight with him because he was so peeved that he had to farm next to this yokel whose weeds, this other guy tried to keep his fields clean, and his neighbor was just shipping all this weed garbage over into his field, just from sheer negligence and not doing what he should do. Now, whether it was just incompetence, if he didn't know better, or whether he was lazy, I really don't know. All I know is nowadays I think someone else has taken over farming his ground, so it's looking a lot healthier in the neighborhood or whatever. And he also, and I don't know how farmers figure this out, he also introduced, well, let me just say it this way. In the North Valley where I live, and remember, this is grassy country, oh, what are you doing, sir? Is there something, is there a setting I need to click? It seems like there was one. One of those that says to head in straight. Yeah, I think that's over on Farm Sim 17. They added a setting on that. Anyway, this guy at North Valley in grassy country, I think, has a lot of perennial ryegrass. And perennial, of course, means that it grows back year over year. You can cut it off and it'll keep growing. Whereas annual ryegrass, it grows only once, it drops its seed, but then the plant dies. Two totally different, they look similar, but two totally different styles of grass seed, and they both have their use. Well, the annual ryegrass was typically grown South Valley, and it's a pollutant to perennial ryegrass. I mean, if you get that in your field, you're kind of in trouble. You don't mix perennial with annual. I don't think it's as bad going the other way, although I could be mistaken on that. There are applications, where you don't, if you're planting a yard with ryegrass, and which is never going to be allowed to go to seed, and it grows up and you mow it off and then proceeds to die, well, that's bad. You don't want to buy seed from someone who mixes that stuff up. Well, anyway, this particular farmer had introduced, and I remember there was an article about him as if he was some kind of revolutionary guy. As I recall correctly, he was introducing some annual rye kind of in the North Valley. I don't think that made his neighbors very happy either, because basically he was bringing in a full-on weed to that was just going to pollinate, cross-pollinate with what they had, and potentially get into their fields. So you have all sorts in the farming community, and I don't even know how I got off on this particular kick. Different talents and whatnot in the community. Indeed, I don't remember how I got started talking about him. And I guess you go all the way from that to others that are just outstanding professionals, and you look at their fields and it shows. And I'm not just talking about clean fields, where you don't see weeds. Wait a minute. Where's our combine? Oh, there it is. Way up there. It must have backed down over the hill. I'm like, did it leave the field without permission? Anyway, I guess it's still up there putzing away. Or it's thinking. There we go. Never know what the hired help in there is thinking. But yeah, then the professionalism you see in other farmers, only one factor of which is whether their field has weeds in it or not. And sometimes it has weeds in there because that's on purpose. But there may be a reason that no money was spent on chemical for it, or it doesn't matter. I mean, they just look at things differently, and their finances are in order, and their equipment isn't falling apart. And you can tell in their barnyard, there's a different style of how they take care of things and maintain their buildings. And I realize all that stuff takes money, but it's kind of the whole package, and it's just awesome when you see it. I suppose it's that way in any occupation. When someone is really good at it, it's interesting to see them, how they do it, their passion for doing it, and the difference it makes. There we go. I think I mentioned in another one of these videos, maybe it was the last one or the one before, where we were I was hoping for the prices to go up, and I was saying I was becoming a good whiner, kind of like farmers. Not all of them are whiners. That's maybe where some of that professionalism comes in. We all want it to just be easy, where we do something that we know how to do and do it reasonably well, and then we want to get paid handsomely for it. And real life just doesn't seem to work that way. And all of us, are have to keep our skills sharp, or we get replaced by something else. And it's no different in farming too. And but there are people I've met, it's we serve a lot of farms, like in our accounting practice, and sometimes, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, you'll see two guys, same farm industry, they grow the same crops, and they have a totally different outlook and attitude. And that's fine. I guess that's kind of what makes the world go round, if you will. But it's just amazing the difference that can be made when someone approaches their farm not only as a lively, or not only as a lifestyle, but also as a business. And when they realize, you know, a commodity, you're a price taker. You're at the whim of the market, which a lot of times is worldwide, and you have no abilities to do anything about. And so sometimes it becomes necessary to do something different from the norm. Maybe you try something that requires more effort, but will get you a better return. Or maybe you go out and make your own opportunity and try to market your stuff instead of just complaining all the time at the price you have to take. And I've met farmers like that that are true businessmen. And yeah, maybe they'll have a crummy year and they won't be happy about it, but they aren't going to sit there and just whine. They're going to analyze it and look at it and say, what did I do wrong? Or what could I do better next time? And then they get to work on that. And they will try to change. And that's a hard part, I think, probably for any of us, is, when we're criticized or have something to work on. And, it's pretty hard to do that. We're all wired the way we are, and it's pretty hard to change the stripes. It's pretty hard to change the stripes on course play, too, evidently. Why would you try to climb that tree? No, no, no. Get on back here. Oh, I know what it is. He's trying to find the combine. That's why he's turning around. Here, will that help? There we go. But you don't need to go... I'm going to turn you before you get there. That's what I'm going to do. There is something truly bizarre. Wow. I confess, I would have to study the error code all day long to figure out why it does that. And who am I to complain about it anyways? It obviously needs a certain distance to turn around behind a machine. Maybe it's something hard-coded, maybe not. I just wish there was a way to tell it not to leave the field. I think on later versions of Course Play, if I'm not mistaken, there was a little toggle you could put in there that would say remain on the field. So whatever turning and stuff it was doing, I think it kind of forced it to stay within, like it would stop at the border. Maybe. I don't remember exactly. Good old Course Play. You know, that faithful friend that isn't so faithful, but at least is consistently bad. Well, and it's off. And you know what? I'm pleased. We're making some headway on this field. I can't really tell how far off the rainfall is. The last I recall, it was a couple hours. Let me see here. All right, wheat and barley are sliding sideways. I really like watching this little header go. It makes sense using it when we have a wide gate to get into the field, kind of like we do on this one here, where we're going to have to close our eyes a little bit is when we go in fields that don't have the wide gates. Alright, I see that up there. Rain is coming in a little over 4 hours. So, yeah, well, we'll deal with that when it gets here. But in the meantime, I think I'm over 30 minutes, so another episode already in the bag. Still in the negative cash, but well into harvesting this field. I think I can tell the difference with this header. It's wider, and it's taking more of a swath through this field. I almost wonder if it's wider than 5.5 meters. It may be closer to 6. I bet it's between 5.5 and 6. So, whatever it is, we're mowing the field down, we'll get through another harvest and hopefully make some money. Thank you all for watching and spending a little time here. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.